If you're a fan of any of these kind of long leaf aroids, then you might like this. If you like Epipremnum pinnatum, then you're probably going to like this, which is Epipremnum Amplissimum. And it's a very different leaf in some ways. So let's take a little look at this plant and see why I love it so much. So these lovely long leaves belong to the amazing plant which is Epipremnum Amplissimum. It is obviously an epipremnum because it's in the name. It looks very different than the normal epipremnums you see in the shops every day. So things like the Epipremnum golden, or what they call a golden pothos, or even like Mandula or Enjoy. It's not in that group at all. So it stands out on its own for a number of reasons. So it's got these lovely long lance-shaped leaves, and they stay like that into adulthood. So unlike something like the Deliciosa, or you know, the Monsteras, or even little things like this, which is a Cebu blue, or Epipremnum pinnatum, they don't fenestrate, so they stay like this for their entire life. Now what you will see sometimes is more silvery versions. There's one called a silver, which is the same plant. Now mine is very green. I keep it in quite a dark place, so it stays very, very lush and green. The leaves come out a lot lighter. You can see quite a lot of new growth coming out in this one. These are new leaves just unfurling here, and they unfurl like any other aroid of this sort of type. So they just come off the petiole of the previous one just after a node. But one thing I like about them is that they stay this lush green all the way through, and again, it would be nice if they did fenestrate, but you've got a predictable plant for the entire lifetime of the plant, so you know you're just going to get this but bigger, which is brilliant. Now in terms of substrate, they're very forgiving, I find, so I keep them in my normal aroid mix, with one exception. I don't put much perlite in this, so perlite seems to dry things out more because it drains very, very well, so I keep it a little bit more moist. So we've got orchid bark, we've got a little bit of compost, we've got worm castings, and a little bit of charcoal. In fact, there's no charcoal in this. And I keep it quite moist, as I say. And the way I do that is I don't water it that much, but nearly all of my plants have self-watering wicks at the bottom, so they just drag up what they want when they want it. And you can see the roots are super healthy coming through on this one already. So it's a very fast grower. I'll give you an example. This one here is a little one that I've got this last year as a one leaf cutting. This is the growth point here. This is the stem, and it grew up here, started its first leaf here, which isn't that successful. Then it came round up here, and this year, so in the last 2-3 months, it's just started to produce a lot of these lush green leaves here. If you're a foliage person, it's a great plant to look at, because it's going to give you this lush green foliage all the way through its life. I only feed it in summer, and obviously I haven't fed these a lot because it's been winter here, so these haven't been fed since about November, and they've carried on growing, especially the one I showed you at first. That's carried on growing much more than this one. This one, as I say, these last 1, 2, 3 leaves have come out in this year, so not bad now. It's getting going now. So in terms of propagation, very, very simple really. So for a smaller plant like this, you just track back to the last node. So for us, on this one, it would be here, and if it's an aerial root, even better. Chop it behind the node here, and then into moss or water for that, and I'll show you some of them soon. This plant, before I even got it, you can see it's quite woody at the bottom, which is not that often for aroids or smaller aroids. You can see it's been propped a lot there. There's a lot of chop marks in there, and it's got these quite thick bases. It's very hard to see because it's such thick foliage. You can see down there all of the different ends that have been chopped off where the petioles have been removed. So I would chop them off, and then I'd take them into my prop box or something like this. And you can see in this one, let me just zoom in for you. You can see in here I've got a couple. So we've got one in moss here, with like really good roots on that one. It's got nice big long root. And in moss or water, I find exactly the same. It doesn't give me any issues whatsoever. Whichever way I do it, it just seems to work. That one's got 1, 2, 3. There's one there coming up on. You can see it on the top of that leaf, and that's a leaf that was already established. So that'll make a plant in itself very, very quickly. There is absolutely no complexity to propping these things. Just keep them warm. And one thing I would say is you do need to keep them warm if you want them to grow quickly. They do slow down if you have them colder than 20 degrees, really. So they do come from northeastern Australia and Papua New Guinea, so they're very, very used to humidity and high temperatures. So you know, just be aware of that, you won't get fast growth if you don't keep them warm. So that's one way that I've found that they can keep this growth going through winter is keeping them very, very warm. And you know, you will get a growth pattern similar to something like a Cebu blue, as in it'll grow up and it'll grow around a pole quite easily. They're very similar to Epipremnum pinnatum. If you see there, I put Epipremnum pinnatum next to them. You're quite indistinguishable in colour. Obviously these are a lot shorter leaves, and these do fenestrate, so they will give you the little like the monstera kind of splits in the leaf. But overall, a beautiful plant, really. Probably one of my favourite of the just plain green foliage plants, and one that I am desperately trying to get a variegated version of. I don't have a variegated version yet, but I'm just in talks at the moment to get my first one. So hopefully very soon I'll have my first lovely variegated version. But just look at that leaf, look at the length of that leaf. So that's over a foot long now. Beautiful plant. Yep, well worth trying it. So that's Epipremnum, and it's called an Amplissimum. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and if you like this one, please give it a thumbs up. It does help us to get in front of other plant lovers who might like this kind of content. And if you like it enough to click a like or a thumbs up, then why not subscribe to the channel, and we'll let you know when we upload new content, which is currently every week.